Okay, I'm here with Ben Rogers today. How are you going, Ben?
Very good, Derek. How are you?
I'm excellent, mate. Hey, thanks for joining us to have a chat about the new business realities that are going on in the marketplace, mate. You're uniquely positioned to give us some great perspectives across a whole range of different things, marketing and business development related. So, you've done the big corporate stint. You've
Mhm.
been involved in your own marketing agency and still consult into that space. And now you're also running a startup helping to generate leads and new business for tradies. So you've got a big spectrum of things that you could talk about that are going to be relevant to our audience. Mate, what I'd like to do is just get a bit of a perspective around the corporate side of things, that your experience and what you're seeing in the marketing space, because that's really topical with the changes that have gone on. So, mate, yeah, I'll hand over to you, and let's get a bit of an insight into your background and some of the things you've been doing.
Yeah. So I am very much big on the digital marketing space, and that's where a lot of my experience started and has come through, and now moved into that product innovation type stuff.
Yep.
But we were talking about the corporate. I had a short stint at Flight Centre, and then spent a couple of years at Covermore, both in the travel industry, both very much affected right now with what's going on. And it's being that it's a problem that it's affecting the entire globe as well too. It's a very tough time for those businesses going on right now. And it's a tough time, I'd say, for their marketing teams as well. Is right now the products they sell, no one needs them. So marketing that, you have flights or you have hotels, it's just that there's no one's buying that right now. So it's a tough stint for them. They would be having their marketing budgets turned off. And in this instance, I think it's probably a good decision. No one wants your product. But what I would say I do find interesting is in sort of some other corporate or big businesses, it is the digital marketing spend is the easiest thing to turn off. There's basically a light switch. And we are seeing that. And I'm starting to see that impacting the property market with reductions in, say, spends there, and a couple of other industries too. So there's a bit of panic going on right now, and I'm not saying that panic is necessarily unwarranted in some situations, but in situations, it is going to sort of negatively affect some industries.
Yeah. Well, like, something interesting that you said the other day when we were on the phone, which really caught my attention, was I think you referred to product and problem. Okay. So,
Yes.
what you just highlighted there in the travel industry, they have a product, but the problem for them is that nobody wants to buy it. So they need to
Absolutely.
reinvent themselves, or find new creative ways to use their resources and knowledge, and to pivot their business or solve other problems. And that can be really hard moving a traditional business that's been disrupted so much. But for other smaller agile businesses, their ability to pivot and innovate and service new problems, this type of market can create opportunity for them, which we're seeing with different manufacturers repurposing to meet personal protective demands and those sorts of things, manufacturing new products with their existing facilities. So, there's depends on the business and how you look at it, obviously. But one of the things we were talking about, which really surprised me, was because so many people are online and there's so much activity online, and it's really the only way that you can engage with people. I really expected ad spend to go through the roof at the moment, but what we're seeing is the exact opposite. Ad spend's going down.
Yeah, so what I'm really lucky is with the agency that I'm still involved in an advisory capacity, is we have not experienced that at all. I know as I read out in the market, that's the case, and Google and Facebook are actually giving away some free marketing spend to keep people on their platforms right now. With ours, we haven't experienced that. If anything, our spend's actually increased.
Yeah, so
There are definitely.
increase, but what about the cost of advertising? So your spend might be increasing, cost of advertising going right down.
Yeah. So the thing about most digital channels is they're auction based. So
Yeah,
as we're seeing a lot of our clients, competitors turned off their spends, it's really helping us out because, you know, like there's less people bidding on what we're trying to get into. We're doing better. And yes, there are less people in the market at the moment for some of the products we have. I'm lucky that I will sort of say this, big portfolio of that spend is into SaaS products, so, you know, online things. But
yeah,
even the traditional services or things that have brick and mortar components to them, they're doing better right now because the cost for an acquisition or the cost of a sale or that return on the ad spend is still going through the roof. So where we're seeing it is the spend is dropping faster than consumers are dropping right now. Now, I don't know if that's going to continue,
yeah,
but March was actually a really, really good month for us. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with the results that we were able to get there.
yeah.
But it was due to that panic. It was due to people pulling back, and a digital spend is really easy to just flick off. It's a light switch. It's easiest thing in your business to sort of shut down when things get tough.
So let's explore that a little bit, because that's a bit of a contradictory or oxymoron type thinking from a corporate perspective, because your marketing drives is at its core designed to drive quality leads of pre-vetted buyers
Yeah,
who are
yeah.
interested in your product right now. And then the first thing, a lot of businesses do is they reduce their marketing spend. And as you rightly pointed out, that makes sense for the likes of someone in the travel industry. But for other organizations, it doesn't make sense. They're actually missing an opportunity to get higher exposure in the marketplace with less competitors actually competing for those eyeballs, and doing it at a lower spend based on what you're seeing.
Yeah, look, it does kind of go against like corporate common sense, and I'll tell you, like one of the clients I saw the results for, I got shown it. We had sort of doubled the number of conversions for this individual in March than we did in February, and I looked at that data. I'm like, okay, our data feed is broken. So I called the customer and I sort of said to them, hey, look, here's what I'm seeing. That doesn't sound so right to me. And they're like, no, we've never been busier. It's fantastic. It's great. So that did sort of lead me away from that sort of normal corporate thinking of, you know, the way an accountant would look, all right, you know, times are tough. How do we extend our runway? How do we keep more money in the bank? Marketing spend, turn it off. Makes sense from that sort of perspective. But I think the thing you've got to remember is in these sorts of situations is if you have a product you can sell, cash flow is king. And getting your customers through the door, or keeping that sales funnel working is really, really important. And it does come back to that old saying is you got to spend money to make money. Now, the caveat I want to put on it is if you have a product in these situations, and like we've discussed in travel, you might not be able to sell that. But most other things that we have in our society, in some way, we're still going to want to experience. We're still going to want to have it and enjoy. And if I can think of an example of someone that I saw yesterday that did it quite well. I saw an offer online from Virgin Wines, right? And Virgin Wines had that typical mafia offer, you know, an offer that was too good to be true. So I picked up a case of wine from them that was a trial membership for about $100 when they generally would be $300 a case. What they're doing right now is they know that I'm at home. There's less competition for me to sort of be competing with other people, getting me through the door now, signing me up. They're going to make their money back on the back end.
Yep.
So they kind of are using digital right now, and not just digital, but the situation of what's going on to attract me to what they have going on.
Mate, that's a really, really interesting segue into understanding, particularly for businesses that have done the right thing around the types of things that you've always done around lead generation and engagement and customer interactivity. If you've got that network and you've got that customer base, the ability for you to partner and collaborate and cross-promote other services into that network is another thing that I think a lot of traditional businesses miss. It's like, how can you partner with another firm that can add value to your customers through you? And it becomes another revenue generating source. Whereas most traditional businesses, they build their customer base, but they've only got a single focus on how they serve that customer base. And this current market now makes it more imperative that you get creative around who and how you collaborate with people to add value to your community.
Look, 1,000%, and I guess the current situations has made that necessary, but I would argue that that's something that every business always should do. It's that notion, that the largest hotel company in the world, Airbnb doesn't own any property, or the largest taxi company in the world, Uber, doesn't own any cars. Big businesses and corporates, they need to have disruptive functions within them, always looking for new ways of how to leverage their customers, listen to their customers, and work out what other problems they can solve. And it is something that companies are starting to do better now. There is a trend in some businesses, in big businesses, to actually scrap the chief marketing officer role and move to a chief innovation officer type role that, encompasses all these traditional things, but is also touching base on the product side. And this is what I love about startup as well too. So I won't get ahead of myself here, but this is what I like. Yeah. So we are starting to see some of those things happening. But COVID-19, I think it will change. It's going to speed up that transition, if you will. It's going to speed that up, because on the other side of this, the businesses that were able to embrace change, embrace doing things that, they never thought they would do, or looking at, or really going back to the drawing board of their products and being like, what's the core problem we solve? And potentially going off in a completely different tangent and building something new are going to be the companies we see in 2021.
Yeah, excellent. So tell us a little bit about Light Pages, because your whole new business reality of a new startup, an industry that's being incredibly disrupted by the marketplace. And so what are you seeing? What are you seeing from, say, 6 months ago to now? And what are the types of things you're doing to innovate within your business and create successes? Because I know you're doing some amazing work for tradies. So let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, look, I'm going to be, things are not going to plan. COVID-19 definitely turned
very creative.
Look, there was a time back in February where week on week, we were doubling the number of users who were signing up to our sites. And then COVID-19 struck about, a few days into the start of March, and our signups just went dead, just completely died. And I won't deny that initially I spent a couple of days feeling sorry for myself. I poured like everything I'd kind of had for the last 2 years into this. I'd kind of abandoned the corporate career to move off in this path, I did feel very sort of sorry for what we were doing, and the team as well too. And it's not just me at Light Pages now. There's about 8 of us that are in this. And so this, in the core team. So what was going on was affecting everyone. But look, it came down to, after a couple of sleepless nights, I really just went through the inventory of our plan. So we have a very clear 10-phase plan that was mapped out. There was actually a phase 0 too. So, 11 phases. We're into phase 2 right now. And we were looking at where we were kind of going. And we basically decided to scrap phase 3. Phase 3 didn't make sense anymore. Yep. And we needed to look at our pricing model and structure for what we had to. So the first thing that I started thinking about is, in these current situations, what service providers are people going to need? Like, who are still going to be needing these products? Yep. And with a pros and cons list, we came up with nothing. We came up with nothing on this. That wasn't going to be an angle or a channel. But what we did sort of eventually come to, and it's actually working really well now, so I'm going to jump to the end of a little bit of teaser, is that on the other side of this crisis, people are going to need electricians, people are going to need plumbers, people are going to need personal trainers, people are going to need removalists and all the other services that we're doing. So what we can do now is we need to be a friend to these businesses and support them, so that when the time comes, they will support us. So our traditional Mafia offer, which we put together, is this. And we do something that is a lot better than all our competitors out there. We spoke to more than 500 businesses when we put our offer together. We realized our offer is still relevant.
Yep.
And our offer is, it's $45 a month. If you don't get any leads or results, it's free until you do. So what we're able to do is really just extend that. So we're charging new signups right now $45 for the rest of the year. And what we're doing is we're just trying to get as many people onto our platform as possible. We're pivoting and we're sending out lots of tips to help them how they can help their business. The honest truth is there's not going to be that much work out there for electricians or other tradies. But I'll use electricians as a stat right now for you. So demand for people looking for electricians on Google in March, when I last checked, had dropped 68% on February. And February had dropped something like 34% on January as well. So we're seeing this decline in what's going on. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to help our users, get them on the platform, get them on the tools, continue to build out really a great digital experience that's going to help them when business does start coming to, you know, get those steps up a little bit higher and focus on that. The other core thing I think I did is I had to be completely honest with the team. I'd be completely honest with them that I don't know when money's going to come in. I don't know when cash flow is going to be going through this. But if you stick with us and this sort of stuff here, I'm going to give you equity. So I brought everyone into the team, is now going to be a co-founder in the next couple of months as well too. So it's now very much we're all in this together type mentality. And I'll tell you, the team's never been stronger. Our resolve has never been stronger either. And I'm really happy to report that this week, we actually had the most new user signups we've ever had in this week as well too.
Congratulations, mate.
And I'll tap onto that a little bit. So when I initially panicked, my observation of the data of looking at this sort of lack of demand that was happening, it actually has been a positive thing for our business in terms of user signups. And the reason why it's been a positive thing is a few months back, you asked me about 6 months ago what was going on. Tradies were being run off their feet. So trying to get them on the phone to have a chat to them or get them to have a read of an email or tell them what we're up to, tell them how we're different, they didn't have time for. Now they're looking for new ways to get leads because to quote a tradie that I spoke to 2 days ago, my phone hasn't rung in 24 hours. I've called Telstra. They tell me everything's working fine with my phone. I just haven't had any calls. And this is a guy who's been quite successful with his business for the last few years. And not a day would go by where he wasn't getting a new request for a quote just from referrals or things. So we're lucky that we're in a good place, and we want to share that luck that we have with our user base and get as many people on board as we can and do everything we can to be there to help them when that comes up. And yeah, we're going to be losing money on every person who joins right now. But like what Virgin Wines did, you know, if we take care of our users now, it'll pay off for us in the long term.
Yeah. And you know, as you point out, in the current market, everybody, you know, what was working is now not working, and people have the time to start to investigate and think about how are they going to deal with this new reality? How are they going to innovate? How are they going to pivot? And certainly you guys are doing an amazing job of creating that environment for trades and small business. So I'll link your website and contact details in the description above or below this this video, whatever platform they're watching it on, so they can get in touch with you. So we've got the small business side of things taken care of. Do you have any sort of parting words of wisdom or suggestions for SMEs and major corporates and how their marketing departments potentially take advantage of this current environment, as opposed to just contracting and going turtle on their advertising spend, which, as we pointed out, some businesses that make sense, other businesses are just missing an opportunity by being too conservative.
Look, cash flow is king, right? You've got to be getting people through the door. And even if you're getting people through the door and you're selling your product at cost, that's a user that's going to tell 3 other people about it down the line. You've got to just keep going. Just keep going. Don't give up, right? Like, because if you stop your engine now when it's time to turn it on again, right, it's a big sort of push to get that uphill. And if you're in a niche where I might be representing one of your competitors, that we're not turning off our engines, right? We're scaling them up. We're going to be getting your customers. So, I mean, you're doing me a favor by not spending or doing this stuff, but long term, you're just shooting yourself in your foot, and you're going to delay that inevitable recovery. So keep going, be creative.
Right.
Your product, if you're in marketing, you really should be chatting to the product people. You should be chatting to your customers and see what you can offer, even if it's just for COVID-19, or perhaps you're going to discover that you're on the other side of this, you're now in a different niche that might be better than before. But yeah, my parting words would be like, keep going.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, mate. And as I said, we'll pop some contact details in the description box for you. Really appreciate your time on the call. And yeah, guys, if you're looking at your marketing, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because this might be an amazing opportunity for you and your business, as opposed to, as you pointed out, Ben, scaling back at just the wrong time, because everybody has more time on their hands than usual, and they're all spending it online. So yeah, be very strategic about that marketing strategy, guys. So, mate, that act's in the background. Are you going to play a few chords to see us out of this interview, mate?
Oh, that's highly decorative these days. Look, I think like everyone right now, I'm trying to find things to keep me entertained. The house has never been cleaner, but about 6 years ago, I was a bit of a musician, so I thought I'd get it back out. But I would lose all credibility right now if I tried to play you a song, Derek.
Okay, we'll check back in a couple of months, mate. We'll see how you're going.
Sounds good to me.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks.
Really appreciate your time.
Yours too. Take care. See ya.